Hi, I'm Nella Donato, artist and designer. I don't normally review art supplies because it's not really something I enjoy doing. But finding reviews for these particular pencils prior to purchasing them was so challenging. So I'm making my own to help other artists decide and to spread the word about this brand of pencils that I actually really like. I'm not a pencil reviewer, so these are just my impressions as a mixed media artist. Different people have different preferences, and I'll explain what these pencils are great at and what they're not so great at. I also wrote a blog post about these so you can read it and find the images of swatches and my test drawings over there. These pencils are hard to find even in Europe. I bought mine on Amazon because I couldn't find them anywhere else, which is a shame because they're really good. The top selling point for these pencils is that they're rated Lightfast according to the ASTM D6901 standard for color pencils. The only other color pencil range that offers only archival pencils is Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle, which cost up to 3 times more. Other brands have either not tested their pencils according to ASTM or Blue Wool at all, or they've tested them and a large percentage of their range is not Lightfast. Which sucks if, like me, you love using reds and purples as these colors tend to fade the fastest. At the moment, if you want a fully Lightfast range of watercolor pencils to use in commissions and fine art, you have 3 options. One is Museum Aquarelle, which has a range of 80 Lightfast colors at the time of this video recording. 2 is Van Gogh, which has a range of 60 Lightfast colors. And 3 is a custom selection of individual pencils with high Lightfast ratings of another brand you like. If you can walk into a store and pick out the pencils you need, that's a great way to build your collection over time. But some brands have very misleading ratings. They don't correspond in any meaningful way to either the ASTM or Blue Wool standard. They may put some stars on the pencils, but how many hours of light exposure does that translate into? No one knows. So don't believe everything a manufacturer says, always double check. What else do these pencils have going for them besides Lightfastness? Saturated colors are quite vibrant and spread easily with water. Pastel colors are super pale and almost disappear when brushed over, so I don't like them. Neutral and earth tones are as expected, though they go a bit lighter when blended with water. Black is fine, but not as strong as some other watercolor pencils I've used. Color shift from dry to wet is not that drastic, so you can use a dry pencil over an area that was dissolved with water, and it's not going to look out of place. I don't know how common that is because I've only tried a few different brands, but that's a big positive in my book. I have thoughts about the color range. The 36 color set has yellows, blues, and greens that are too similar to be useful. Ultramarine is the wrong name for a color that looks close to phthalo blue. I prefer an actual ultramarine blue to match my ultramarine watercolor paint. Earth tones are lovely and useful for portraits. Naples Yellow Red is an attempt at a peachy skin tone, but way too pale to use for that purpose. I don't think I'll ever use it. There's a great range of violets for florals, no complaints there. I'm missing my favorite shade of red, a saturated deep burgundy red. There's nothing in between a bright scarlet and a dull maroon permanent red purple. I'm also missing a very dark brown and a very dark blue, like indigo or indanthrone blue, which I use for shadows instead of black. These colors don't exist in the 60 range either. The darkest pencil apart from black is ultramarine violet. Supposedly they're available open stock, but I have yet to find a retailer that sells them. I have some Talens Van Gogh watercolors as well, so I compared those with the same names. Some match pretty close, some do not. But overall, across my paints collection, I can find good enough matches for pure pigments. This is important for me because I want to combine watercolor paint and pencils in a harmonious way, and that's easier when they're similar in hue and saturation. These pencils are hard, like Polychromos or Cretacolor Marino. Great for sharp details and filling in small areas. Not great for backgrounds and large, even surfaces, simply because it would take a long time to apply them. The color laydown is smooth, and they blend just fine even when dry. Vibrant pencils are softer than muted and pastel colors. I suppose it's because they have more pigment and less of the hard filler. They dissolve easily with a wet brush, and depending on the paper, you may have few to no pencil marks at all. I use a synthetic stiff water brush, which is great for scrubbing pencils and crayons. I'd always recommend using a stiff brush like you'd use for thick paint, not the soft watercolor brushes. Layering is tricky. I do feel these are more waxy than my other watercolor pencils, so after 2 or 3 layers, you just can't add more. Some papers will accept more layering if they have a more toothy texture, like this Strathmore Mixed Media Visual Journal. So what's my final verdict? Because of their hardness and the limitation of layering you can do, I'd say they're not a good standalone pencil set for large artworks. If you work on small formats with lots of detail, or you're just a very patient person, then these are nice to work with. You can get them really sharp for those very crisp edges. They're wonderful to combine with watercolor paint, gouache, or water-soluble crayons to provide the detail, refinement, and soft shading. I'm happy with these pencils, and they do exactly what I need them to do. They're not perfect, but at the price I got them for, I didn't expect them to be perfect. I wish I could get replacement open stock pencils. I don't think I'll be able to find them, so perhaps I'll be buying museum aquarelle replacements if I can find those open stock. But if I could choose which colors to buy, I'd surely buy them again. I just don't want to buy a set with so many yellows and greens that I'll literally never use. Here's to hoping that they become more popular and more available so that we can all enjoy these very reasonably priced, artist-grade, light-fast watercolor pencils. I hope this review helped you decide if these pencils are suitable for your style and technique. Thanks for watching.